This is the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. It is 4:02 p.m. and we are at the Carson City Community Center, Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. Can I get a roll call?
Andrew Reno,
Here.
Stacy Giomi,
Here.
Garrett Lapierre, Matt Dodd.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this time, we will open it up to public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to item 5, possible action, approval of minutes from January 12th, 2026 CTA board meeting. Does anyone have any additions or changes?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 12th, 2026 Culture and Tourism Authority meeting.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next, we will move on to item 6, possible action, discussion, and possible action regarding approval of sorry about that. We're moving on up to the consent agenda, consisting of items 6 and 7. Does any member of the public or board have any items they'd like pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Sure. Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we will end the consent agenda and move on to item 8. And with that, I will turn it over to Executive Director David Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Dave Peterson, Executive Director of Visit Carson City. 9A is my Executive Director's update. We had a wonderful V&T Railway Commission retreat on Friday. Good, solid 8+ hours with my peers. We covered a lot of ground on Friday. Some of the highlights, just to share as your liaison appointed person to the commission. We're working on the ticketing, so taking a look at reducing kids' tickets to encourage. We're trying to really strategize about getting families to participate on Sundays. That is our lowest performing day, especially when we're running the diesel. Everybody really wants to be on the steam engine. And so we've done some price adjustments in both directions, reducing diesel ticket price, and then on our specialty trains where we're doing Toast of the Canyon, making sure that those prices have come up so they're all similar in price because we do sell those particular trains out. We are going to be looking at doing a 250th, kind of a thematic train this coming. It's probably going to be summer, so it'll be just because of timing and budget and everything after the 4th of July. And then we're also looking at doing hopefully a beer train in July. So we have our wine trains, but there's been a lot of interest in having a beer train and working with some of the local brewers to have them be a part of such a thematic style train. So that's a little bit on where the commission stands on pricing. And the other thing too that we're going to do, and Leah Cruz, who's the Deputy Director for the Virginia City Tourism Commission, she's kind of taking the lead on this, but the idea is to get the Lydias of the world on a call initially, and then to have routine calls. So having our marketing team with Zach, the VCTC marketing folks, and they have an outside agency, as well as the vendors that the VT Railway Commission has. So we can better collaborate, and really it's for Lydia and team, and then the Virginia City folks and team to know exactly what is happening when we move forward with pricing, schedule, different trains, just to have that communication flow from the VT Railway Commission from our vendors down to the DMOs. So we can be better positioned when we have a train has 22 people on it, on a Sunday against 210, that would fill the train. So we can be a little bit more proactive and have a better concerted effort to try and sell these trains out on our poorly performing weekends in particular on Sunday. So we've got some other things that we're talking about as well as it relates to potentially bringing a contracted vendor in the form of an event planner on board as well to actually help with the special trains. It's a pretty big load on the one person who's sort of the executive assistant to the commission, which is Sherry Bailey, to try and help her out, as well as Tom Gray and Candy Duncan, who are handling the train operation side of things. And so this is something that we're looking at. Obviously, we have to budget in for this, so it would be a fiscal year 27 expenditure, from the commission's perspective. But we're looking also, I'm happy to say, finally, we have the new site up and running, but looking at our groups and charters, folks that want to bring a group of 20 or 50 or 100 people, or they want to rent the whole train out. And actively, we're going to pursue going after those types of opportunities, I guess, for lack of a better word, for the VT Railway, because I think there's something in that. We have a couple of them that, one in particular that Stu has as a whole family that's looking to do something on the VT Railway. And then a separate thing maybe with the Dust and Wander Trail, using the train as a membership, a fundraising event as well, since what's tying us together is the VT Railroad, the railroad history and the spikes. And so I brought that up on Friday as well. And my peers love that idea too. So we're trying to think a little bit outside the box. I'm hoping we had a couple of folks do a presentation as it relates to third-party ticket sales, reseller, affiliate style marketing, because right now, the only way that you can purchase a ticket is to come through our website, unless you call the number and you talk to Candy directly. And I think that we're leaving a lot of sales on the table. And so this is something that I'm pushing for. We obviously have to figure out the rules of engagement about who's collecting the revenue, who's reimbursing who, and this, that, and the other thing. But at least the conversation was had, on Friday, because I think we have to evolve, as a commission, and we need to think of other ways that we can generate ticket sales, because that's literally our source of revenue outside of the money that comes from Story County each year. But anyway, just a quick recap in terms of some of the highlights from our retreat on Friday. So, and that's the only thing that I wanted to make mention of this month, and happy to answer any questions on the V&T front if there are any from the board.
I love the creative thinking. I think those are all wonderful ideas. Great job.
Yeah, appreciate it. And we just have to, think a little bit differently. And obviously we do have some limitations as a commission, and still not understanding how we fit in the overall scheme of things, because we do not have staff. And that's continues to be sort of the single hang-up, right? So it's definitely a little bit of a challenge, because we can come up with the best ideas in the world and then realize, okay, who's actually going to be able to do that and implement that, short of bringing a vendor on board, and then we've got to go through the RFP process. So we're trying, that's for sure. So anyway, that's my quick VNT update. If there are no other questions, I'll move on to 9B, which is the transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. I'm very pleased with December, you guys. I had us down at 7%. I figured there wasn't going to be much of a change from November to December. And as you can see, we wound up just short of 1,869,000, which is an all-time record for the month of December. So I'm attributing that to the fact that we did have snow. So here, I think, again, is the importance that Tahoe and snow plays. But we also had our campaign fully up and running. So Lydia and Zach and the team, we were fully operational with the third act on the Winter's Charm. And so I think the combination of things really did help us for the month of December. I did do a little bit of reforecasting, as you'll see, to get us through the end of the fiscal year. Obviously, the Home to Suites just opened last Thursday. Soft opening, I guess, I think is the correct way to probably, I'm looking at Stu, say that. So that will impact our February numbers forward. I won't have much to go on because by the time we get February, we'll obviously be toward the end of March and we'll be, working through tentative budgets. But I'm going to do my best to work with Chris and see, what the numbers look like, just to give us a barometer of what I think having that additional property will look like for next fiscal year's forecast. But again, not even a full month either at that. We're looking at probably 24 days or so, 22 days, somewhere in that neck of the woods of revenue. But hopefully January will be okay. And then we'll just kind of have to see how things go. Obviously we are back in the position where the snow conditions are not good up there in Tahoe. And so I know that that's impacting us right now as far as overflow from the lake. It's definitely a different type of a skier. I would say that is coming into the Tahoe area, but we'll definitely keep an eye on this. The projection then is about 0.63% ahead of last fiscal year. So that's that bottom right number in the furthest right column, tracking about 3% below the budget that we had put together last May. So fingers crossed, that will kind of hold the line with the projection for the rest of this fiscal year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions on this particular item.
I don't have a question, but I just will say, and I can't speak for Diana, but at our property, January was robust in terms of hotel. So it was a very good month for us, better than projected on our side. So
Okay, I'm glad to
I
hear
hope
that.
hers was too. So I hope that's a
Yeah, that
harbinger of the market.
makes me feel better. Oh, Stu, you've still got employment then for another month, so that's good. Okay, no, I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for that feedback. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to 9C. Stu, take it away on the events and sales update, please.
For the record, Stu Wexler, event and sales manager of Visit Carson City. I'm just going to recap some of the shows that we've just had since I haven't been to the last couple of meetings, notably the American Bus Association, the meeting, the sightseeing tour, the FAM tour, and then upcoming Go West, NASC, and some new tournaments that are going to be coming up. So I'm going to start with the American Bus Association, which was held in Reno the first week of January. It was pretty impressive. Reno did an incredible job of hosting this event. We were in Philadelphia last year, the previous year, and after our sightseeing tour and some of the opening ceremony, talking to some of the folks, they were very impressed and said Reno actually, they felt like Reno did a better job than what Philadelphia did, which is pretty amazing considering the size of the city of Philadelphia. So for me, I started with 25 scheduled appointments, and as always, I had one cancellation and there were 2 no-shows, which is usually typical. Just talking to some of the other DMOs, they had some cancellations too. A lot of the tour operators are recycled, but I did meet with 6 other tour companies that I did not have a scheduled with appointment, and working with some of them, working with 3 of them to bring tours here. One was Beyond Horizon Tour and Travel, which was not scheduled. I've met them at NTA in the past, and we're actually working to bring a tour group here towards the end of summer of 2026. So that actually turned out pretty well. And also, there were 2 other tour companies that could not make our sightseeing tour. One was Bill Bray Tours Incorporated and Landmark Tours. They had called me beforehand, letting me know that they weren't going to be able to make the sightseeing tour, and I recommended some itineraries for them here in Carson. Rhonda Bill Bray, which Andrew probably knows. She went to the Railroad Museum and Stewart Indian School. She was ecstatic. She met with Daphne. She loved it, went to Stewart Indian School, was totally impressed with what they had to offer. And she actually was my first appointment that Sunday morning. So she said right off the bat, as soon as I sat down, that we are going to do something here because she was just so impressed, especially with Daphne at the Railroad Museum. Daphne was great. And then Landmark Tours, again, they couldn't make this in time, the sightseeing tour, so I gave them a couple itineraries, talked to them during the show, and they're going to work on something too. They're just impressed with Carson City, the whole venue and what we had to offer, and just the view and everything that we had. And then and Beyond Horizon was from NTA and Mark Strong. He is coming down, like I said, towards the end of the year, and that was not a scheduled appointment. So, any questions on that, on the appointments themselves? So to start this Saturday, and I want to thank David and Chris for kind of arranging breakfast. We had about 50 people on a sightseeing tour with Mary Bennett, and we had Chris and David bring up breakfast for them from LA Bakery, and we got that ready before we went on the bus, and everyone was totally impressed with that. A lot of folks told me that they usually don't get breakfast that early in the morning when they're doing a sightseeing tour. So, and a lot of people know Mary Bennett. She's like the best there is, and she does our ghost walking tours. So as we took off, Mary gave a brief history of Washoe Valley, went through Carson, on the way to Carson, going through Reno. She had incredible knowledge of Reno as well. And then we made a quick stop at the governor's mansion, and she gave a brief history of that. And we stopped at the Krebs Peterson mansion, right down a couple houses down from the mansion. And she went over the history of Krebs Peterson with with John Wayne and all that history. And everyone was totally impressed with Mary. They were taking pictures with her. She does an incredible job on that. And then from there, we just headed to the Nevada State Museum, and we had everything arranged. And obviously, with 50 people, we split into two groups. We started out with the coin press. Kelly Brandt gave us a tour of the coin press, demonstrations, and everyone was incredibly impressed. And the other group went through the mining, the other exhibits. And with the coin press, we were passing out the medallions, the Mark Twain medallions to everyone, and they were just loving that. That was the first surprise, and they were actually showing the medallions when we got back to Reno to the other tour operators. That's how impressed they were. So yeah, that was a huge hit. They loved that, and we were able to get everyone rounded up, and we headed to the Nevada State Railroad Museum. The second surprise was we had arranged McAvoy Lane to be at the Railroad Museum to actually greet everyone as they were getting off the bus. So, and then Mary and McAvoy have known each other for about 30 years. So when I told Mary that McAvoy was going to be there, it was like old times. So as they got off the bus, you could see Mary and McAvoy were greeting everybody. And as soon as people got off the bus, they instantly knew it was like, that was Mark Twain. That's how good McAvoy is. So McAvoy did their little greeting, little history of what he's done and how he's been so much of Mark Twain. And then him and Mary did the train around. We split them up into groups as well. And we took half on the tour inside the museum, the other half rode the train. So they were just so ecstatic, and it was really great. And Mark Twain got on the bus to say a little goodbye as we were heading out. And then our last stop, we did a quick tour of the Carson Hot Springs. They were kind enough to take a few people, show the history of the hot springs, actually showed, which I had never been there before, Dave and I looked at it, where the hot spring starts and how it goes into the pools. And then, so we had split that group up into that, and then we took the other group into the pools themselves, which were, they were pretty impressed, especially in the different pools and the temperature controls for each pool. So it was pretty impressive, and it was a quick trip. It was only like 15 minutes we had till we had to get back to Reno, because they're very strict on their time frame. And then Sassafras provided box lunches for us, for everyone on the tour on the way back to Reno. So that was pretty impressive. Well, any questions? And then, so we did have an ABA post-fam tour. I unfortunately was under the weather and could not make it. So I want to thank David, Andrew, and Eric Brooks, who actually helped and guided and was there for some of the tour, the post-fam tour for me. But yeah, those guys assisted with the post-fam tour. It was 15 tour operators from Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Missouri, Canada, and some of the other US markets. So they checked into the Staybridge Suites Wednesday afternoon. They were hosted by meet and greet with the GM there, Ben Baggett, and the sales manager, Quentin Martinez. And as with the brand standard for the Staybridge, they have a social every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But those guys did prepare a special social for this tour group. So then once they had that, they did a property tour, site tour of the hotel. And then the group left for a property tour of the Gold Dust West with Irma. I'm not even sure if you were there, Matt, or? Oh, okay. Yeah, and like I said, I couldn't make it because I was under the weather, but Irma Salazar was able to provide the tour and dinner at the Gold Dust. And from what I've heard from Elsa from Travel Nevada, everybody loved the tours, both of the Staybridge and the Gold Dust West. So they spent time there. And then just after dinner, they actually went back to the Staybridge to prepare for Thursday. And that's where David and Andrew and Eric Brooks came in. They did morning breakfast for the post-fam, and then they went to a guided mural of the murals downtown Carson City on a small bus. And then they stopped by the governor's mansion, as you can see, took a picture there. And were introduced to some of the Kit Carson trail sites, and obviously the Orion Clemens, George Ferris, and Dotso Leela Holmes, with a brief history and interpretations that were provided. And additional Carson City heritage, and they were given some history of the V&T, the historic roundhouse, Nevada State Prison, and the Stewart Indian School and Museum. And then they did a tour of the Brewery Arts Center. The director, Spike McGuire, provided the tour, which was really nice. It was showcasing the oldest commercial building in Nevada, and the gallery, the Black Box Theater, and the Performance Hall. And then they concluded with a quick stop at the Federal Hotel for a site tour. They wanted to showcase some of the new renovated rooms, the new restaurant there, actually, the Seven Grill. So Diana was kind enough to guide them through the site tour of the hotel. And then they headed down to Carson Valley to spend some time down there. But what I did want to read is from Travel Nevada, who was very thankful for the time and itineraries we had, for their time up here in Carson. So they wanted to thank us again for our continued support and partnership with the recent fam visit. The stay in Carson was brief, obviously, but the group really enjoyed the experience. Offerings available for future potential group businesses, which I did follow up with the tour group, and a lot of them were very impressed with what they saw and the itineraries and the sites we had. So they do want to look at working with us in the future. And a lot of times, it's just not Carson City, but we work with our other partner DMOs, obviously, to do a bigger site tour and package. So that's always great, working with our partners. But Elsa just was very appreciative of the Gold Dust for providing the dinner, the Stay Bridge, and the Federal and the BAC for the, Spike doing the guided tour on that. And like I said, unfortunately, I was not able to attend, so if David, these guys have any other information about that, the tour that. So, any questions regarding that?
Stu, can I just jump in for a second before
Yeah.
you go on to I just want to just seriously thank our partners. We had 7 different partners on the sightseeing tour and another 4 on the post ABA FAM tour. So between those 2 pieces of the overall ABA trade show being here, that's 11 different partners that were involved from a Carson City perspective. And I, with due sincerity, thank each and every one of them for what they did to make this, I think, 2 amazing, distinct experiences. And obviously to Matt and Diana for being a part of on the post end of things. I was so excited to hear that when Travel Nevada reached out to Stu about bidding for rooms here. It kind of really elevates Carson City, right? I love Reno. I love Sparks. 9 out of 10 times, everybody is staying in Reno and Sparks. So the fact that they opened this up to other destinations within Reno Tahoe territory for me was super important. And that quote from Elsa and Yesenia about changing perceptions that these tour operators have about smaller rural destinations, I think was perfectly stated because I think we truly did that by taking these folks to the different locations, between the 2 different events that Carson City was super proud that we were able to be a part of both of those. And so, and Andrew was knocking it out of the park, as well, with his participation, on the back end for the post fam. And I certainly, appreciate the chair being there and helping out as well. So I'm very pleased at Carson City's, the way that we came through, I think, in the eyes of these tour operators, because you have to remember, again, first time ABA has been, technically speaking, west of Salt Lake City, which I don't know, was 20 or 30 years ago. I'm not sure if it's 20 or 30 in a 100-year history. So the fact that, again, the location that was chosen was Reno, really, really critical and important for this overall region and destination. And so hats off to all of our partners who were absolutely wonderful to work with. And I feel like they really stepped it up, quite frankly, to elevate Carson City and the perception. Because when we were at dinner at Matt, at your place, you had whatever, 19, 20 of us or whatever that were there. It was a huge group. It was late. And again, your team was just fantastic. But just getting a chance, normally I'm not on these things, right? Because I might talk a lot and monopolize, the conversation. But honestly, listening to these folks, most of whom had either never been to Carson City, or the last time they were here was 25 years ago, they were blown away by how different Carson City was from the last time that they were here. And now we are a place that's not Reno, a place that's not Tahoe that they're considering. And that idea that we're like a hub, right? They can stay here, still go to the lake, still go to Reno, Sparks, whatever the case may be. I did have some great conversations, during dinner. So, and yes, I didn't talk the whole time, but yeah, no, it was very nice to just understand what they're looking for, how we fit in. I only wish we had the full day so we could have taken these folks over to the prison, right, and made a full, among other locations. But eternally grateful for the hours that we did have with them, and again to our partners for the breakfast and the lunch and the dinner and rooms and the tours. Really do appreciate everybody stepping up to help us.
And I do want to add to that, when they did have the opening ceremony Sunday night at the bowling center, we were there, and will say Reno did an incredible job. The bowling center was amazing, and everyone was just having a great time. And we have some funny pictures, but I didn't put them on the presentation, so that's next time. But Reno did do, the people at the RCVA did a fantastic job in hosting that, and everyone was really impressed. I also want to add that during my appointments, one of the things that intrigues these operators about coming to Carson is the fact that we do not have any hidden fees. It's really important, and the more I talk about, the more I see that they're the intrigue. We have the room tax only, no resort fees, as some of these other areas. We don't charge for any parking for the motor coaches, and that's very impressive to these tour operators that are looking to bring these tour groups to Carson in our area. So I think that's very important going forward, too. So, and then the next one, going right up in next month with the Go West Summit, which will be held in Las Vegas this year. It is just the Western states, part of Western Canada, same type where they come in. We make appointments, and this year they're going to do a pre-fam up in our area. The Nugget is going to be the host hotel. And that's just some of the itineraries. They're coming in the 27th. They'll be in Reno. The Saturday, they do go to Tahoe and Carson Valley. And then Sunday, they'll be here in Carson City. And I do have it set up to where we're going to take them to the Stewart Indian School. I set up to where, with the new basket exhibit, I met with Josh Bondi, and we're looking at creating little baskets for them to give gifts, where they're actually going to set the basket up, and then they'll do a little participation to finish the basket, to be a little bit more impressive and a little bit more personal for the gift to the operators. And then I'll take them to the Stewart Indian School, the prison. We'll do a guided tour of the prison. And then, then they head out to Virginia City. And then that Monday, everyone starts heading back to Vegas for the actual show, which will be at the Rio. And I'll be heading to Las Vegas myself that Monday night to set up Tuesday for the appointments and be there for a few days as well. So that's going to be on the line of, if you all remember, maybe the Jackpot Jamboree we did. It's about 20 operators last April where they did the same thing. They went to Stewart Indian School, I believe, and then the prison tour as well, and everyone was impressed with that. So any questions on that? And then this is the Nevada Association of Student Council Conference, State Conference. And unfortunately, we met with them, and I was under the weather for that. And David met with them, but I did want to say that I did take a few of the people just last week, Kyle Allen, to the Carson City Downtown Business Association meeting. These kids are truly amazing, and they just gave a brief introduction and what the conference is going to be about, and the fact that there's going to be 1,500 students, coming into Carson City for that time, that will be probably in downtown doing some of the, visiting some of the businesses. And so they were very impressed with that. And then David was at the actual meeting, which I couldn't make, so he's going to give a little brief
Yeah, I'll jump
update
in
on that.
just briefly. First, hats off to Kyle and Leah, the two co-chairs. They are amazing young people. I'll just tell you that right now. And then Caroline and Tania on the staff side. So those are the four that we're working with over there at the Carson High School. We're going to be the destination sponsor for this. It's the first time there's ever been such a relationship in the history of this particular conference here in Nevada. It's been 20 years since this conference has been in the capital city. So I'm very excited to take advantage of 1,500 folks. Everybody but Clark County students will be staying in Carson City. That has to do with, I guess, an agreement or something with the Caesars Group and the Clark County School District. So it is what it is, but we're going to pick up folks out of Washoe County those students are going to actually be staying here in Carson City. And we are working, the whole team is involved with this, Lydia and obviously Stu, Lydia, Zach, Eric. We're going to break the students up half or some share around plus or minus half. We'll actually do the Kit Carson Trail, and the other half will be taking a mural public art tour, which Eric is currently working on. I think his name's Greg, I want to say, but I don't remember his last name. We'll have a new shorter version, so you're not trying to hit 70 plus pieces of public art to take you all day. But the beauty of that is they'll be all over the downtown area. And so part of the meeting with the DBA was to have the businesses open with that many kids and students. One, we want to make them aware of it. Two, are there things that they can do? Pop or soda, or shakes or whatever, hot dogs, I don't know, whatever makes sense.
Also, if
for-
they want to sponsor,
Oh, yes.
they
if
can
wanna
be some
sponsor
of the
too.
sponsors for this too. So they were talking about that at the
Yeah.
meeting.
Certainly. And so I'm just thoroughly impressed with this whole group of people. And I think we have a really cool opportunity to showcase Capital, one with a lot of super intelligent people who are involved with student council. And so it'll be, that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And you'll all be invited, as I'm told. We're going to have a little area, I think, for Visit Carson City during some of the presentations, and I forget the opening and the closing sessions with some speakers that are coming in for that as well. So more to come, but they have been super cool, super great to work with. And I don't know, Stu, that's about all I have. Unless Lydia, if you want to throw anything about the video or anything, but that's all I got for you.
No, just how organized they are in putting this whole convention together. I looked at some of the video from where they had it last year in Vegas, and what they're doing to prepare for everything in Carson City is just really amazing what they've done, and fantastic job. All right, next one is we have finally went through our endorsed events, the Exhibit A. These are the tournaments that are coming through starting in April, going through the end of the year towards November. Some of these are still tentative in their dates, and some of them might be subject to change, but we wanted to give everyone an idea at least what is coming for Carson City in the way of our regular soccer, our ball games, and going through the Nevada Day powwow, actually. So with the new turf supposedly being done April, from what I've heard, it just depends on what that is, weather-wise. The first real tournament to be held on that's out of the area is the Rock in Reno tournament. That will be May 20. They're back to back, but the first one is going to be the 22nd to 24th. So that's going to be the first tournament to play from out of the area on our new turf. So we're going to do a little something with Rock and Reno and Franny and tournament organizers for that.
That's not new, right?
What's that?
That's not a new tournament?
That,
They've been there before.
that one is not a new tournament. The actual Rock and Reno afterwards has been a new tournament. Because they used to just do one tournament. Now they're doing two tournaments here with looking to expand even more so to get like 3 tournaments here. But they're just going to be the first ones to use the field, so.
And on the Legacy Sports, you have listed as tentative. Is it the dates that's tentative or the fact that they're coming is tentative?
Some of them, it's the fact that they're coming is tentative. The No Limits still working on. The Legacy, now this Legacy Sports, that one, they're bringing 5 different tournaments. Legacy Sports is out of California. So we're just looking to coordinate with them on the dates for this tournament.
We have 7 dates you have listed.
Yeah, there's 7, I'm sorry, there's
I guess
7.
what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is if I make a presentation to the board, am I saying that the dates are tentative or the fact that they're coming is tentative?
No,
You don't
the-
know, they're not locked in yet.
Can I jump in there? Stu,
Yeah,
real
go
quick?
ahead.
Okay, so the timing of this, Stacy, we had already put this out. We had posted this, so we've subsequently had conversation with Scott Chapman at Parks Rec and Open Space. So on the updated version of this, these are locked because there's a split between youth and adult.
So
and
it's not tentative.
No, we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah. so
Yeah, I'm
that's-
sorry. Yeah, it
so-
was-
So what he's talking, what Stacy's referring to, when we put this out, we still had tentative because we didn't
Right,
hear
right.
from
No, I forgot about
Scott. So
that.
this happened after the
Okay.
publishing.
That's what I was
So
trying to
yeah,
get
on the
at.
master
Thank you.
now,
Yes.
I had to remove all the tentative, and there was a little bit of confusion there because the difference between the adult slow pitch and the youth fast pitch, there's Brian and is it
There was 2 different people.
Dustin, and I got the 2 guys mixed up of who was who, and so we just got all this worked out late last week with Scott. So it's okay, yes, and I can provide the board with a more current version. Basically, 2.4 was where the updates came in because we also had to shift the Battleborn blades because of the, not closure, but because this is being used for primaries here.
Primary.
They had to come in a week earlier.
Oh, yeah.
We only found that out after Eric, Mr. Klug confirmed that at the end of last week as well. So that is why it does say tentative, because this is sort of a work in progress a little bit. Some things like Cookies Best and No Limits, we literally don't have dates yet in the case of those 2.
I was just asking about legacies.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're okay to say yes, because we did, yeah. And I'll make sure, Stacy, in fact, I will do this first thing in the morning. I will get the updated schedule on the off chance that the dates, because in my head, I'm looking at these, I think these dates are okay, but there may have been a slight change.
I'm less concerned about the dates and more concerned about just the general
Gotcha.
fact that
That they're coming.
Legacy Sports is bringing 7
Right,
tournaments.
they are.
Which
yeah.
is
The
huge.
board's not going to remember what the 7 dates are, nor does it really matter.
Okay, no, perfect.
Dates and everything are confirmed.
I'm like 99.9% sure, but I did just.
Some dates are concerned,
Some dates.
confirmed.
Yeah, because in my head, I feel okay, but then Scott, we changed something in there, but I assure you, I'll have to all 5 of you in the morning an updated version of this schedule from 2.4.
Also, Parks and Recs will have their schedule out too, because they have some tournaments that are not endorsed by us that they will have. So Scott, I talked to Scott Chapman, and he will have that in the next day or two, their schedule, so we can see the full bore of who's coming here to play for the whole year.
Well, could we incorporate his on these even though they're not endorsed? Maybe add another column that says not endorsed or something.
There is a schedule that will come out from Scott, and they collapse both
will have-
together.
Yes,
Yes,
Perfect.
yeah. Ours is just specific because it's mentioned in the interlocal agreement as
Yeah.
Exhibit A, so they're just the endorsed. But yeah, there is a different version that we can share with the board that has everything in it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then the next page is just some of the new tournaments we were just talking about. Rock and Reno, only because of the second tournament, would be kind of the newer one, Legacy Sports we just talked about. I am meeting with the people at the gun range for the Nevada State Sporting Clay Championship, which is the one that will be held here, which is a statewide shoot. And then we're going to have the horse dancing. I'm working with them. And then the PGC basketball, it's more of a training camp. It's for the youth. It has some of the NBA endorsements. This is from the team's show I've been to in the past. So they're going to be doing that at the Mac Center. Those are the dates, 4th to 8th. And then obviously the Tasmanian Boxing Club. So they are working on a couple new events. They are working on a boxing tournament for the North Nevada versus the Southern Nevada, which would be huge for this area. So they're working on that. They're also working, which will be, I think, the one in August. They're working on Northern California versus Northern Nevada. So once they get everything finalized, they'll let me know about that. And that is it. So if anyone has any questions regarding anything, let me know.
Any questions for Stu? Okay, great. With that, we're going to skip 9D. Eric is actually meeting with an artist right now. So I'm going to have him do an updated presentation at the March meeting. And I'd like to go ahead and move on to 9E, which is marketing and PR. Lydia, take it away.
Thank you. For the record, Lydia Beck, Marketing and PR Manager. We have had a busy January, as I feel like many of us have. We have a nice little recap of some things that we've gotten accomplished in this month. It was heavy planning and build month. So a lot of what you see here supports our future wins, some conference presentations that we hopefully have coming up and do have coming up. I'll be presenting at the One West Tourism's MarTech Summit in a few weeks, and March 2nd through the 4th, on the success of our winter campaign. So that continues to see some traction within our tourism space. And then we also have more PR submissions. We have site navigation improvements. And then we also just wanted to highlight a lot of the content creation that's been happening, especially for arts and culture. Zach is continuing to cut content for socials on the Nevada State Museum that we have from Woody. They're still continuing to perform really well. And much of this work really kind of compounds over time, and it's kind of all came to fruition here in January. So it's not one-off, it really builds momentum for the rest of 2026. So on to our digital growth update. At a really high level, January was a very strong month, especially in our lodging referrals. They increased nearly 40% month over month, which is the behavior that we really obviously want to see. And then we are also seeing some really great engagement in the Winter's Charm Act 3 refresh, particularly with Danielle's monologues that we did, and they're holding attention really well. And this slide is always for our data-driven members of the board. Overall, we saw over 83,000 total web visits in January, which was a 41% increase over last year. And then most importantly, our paid search optimizations that we did have led to a 53% jump in lodging referrals from that channel alone. So we are successfully capturing people when they're actively searching for a place to stay. And StackAdapt, our video delivering that system that we use, is delivering really high, extremely high completion rates, which is telling us that people are actually watching our content. So we're excited to see that in January. And hopefully this will contribute to the momentum that we're seeing from December. It was really promising to hear that we had a great month. Now, one thing that we're seeing change a lot is how, speaking of AI, is changing website traffic and SEO overall. So not just on our site, but across the board, across the internet. So it's no secret that AI is changing the game. And so instead of a list of links like you normally see, that AI overview that we all see when we type in things like things to do in Carson City, we get that nice little overview. So that might mean fewer casual website visits, but when visitors do click through to our site, they're much more educated, intentional, and more likely ready to book a trip at that point. So our engagement and time on site is much higher, even though we're probably going to see a trend in website visitation down overall, which is common across not just DMO space, but kind of across the board for many people. So just wanted to highlight a trend that we're seeing in the space with this AI overview. But that means that our SEO is more important than ever, meaning that we need to have SEO strategies that are evolving toward AI content. And we're really changing the way that we present our blogs to do just that. And we've seen a lot of great success with that so far in seeing the engagement time on the blog landing pages, which is kind of, we call it the Capital City Insider. So that is kind of the insider curated pieces that are our suggestions for what to do in Carson City if we've been here for a while. So we're evolving that. We are evolving our itineraries. We're going to have a really nice presentation on our entire itineraries page have been changed and updated. It was a huge thing that we've been working on for the last few months, and I'm excited to be able to show that. I would say probably in May by the time that we really get everything updated and finished. But I think that that will also contribute to this SEO. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game as much as we can without beta testing a lot of things and spending money with a minimal budget. There's a lot of things to try right now. And so we are trying to gather information from our colleagues and our peers to see what's really working and looking into the things that might work best for us in our budget. Yes, please.
I love to see that slide. I love that you guys are having that conversation. In my business, in my day-to-day, I sell real estate. The front door for me has been Google forever and ever. The front door of the internet has been that. That is now AI. People search, what realtor should I use? I'm looking for homes in this area, and they use that. One thing that you can do is simply ask ChatGPT, how do I become the #1 referred source? And they will give you step-by-step directions to do that for no money. Doesn't cost anything. So using AI in and of itself to adapt to their algorithms and how they promote things would be a suggestion of mine.
Yes, absolutely. I
I
agree.
got a quick one. Is that AI overview, is that constantly changing?
It can if more people are becoming sources of information. So
Okay.
say that 5 different people created a blog about things to do in Carson City and their SEO was very good and they were actually showing up on Google searches. That might impact what information they're pulling into that response.
Okay.
And so website and content is still very important so that we're feeding the AI with correct information, if that makes sense.
So basically the AI overview is coming off of search patterns or what people are putting? Okay. I just wasn't
Yep.
sure. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to someone about something similar to this, and it's really remarkable because it captures the essence of the query that people are writing when they ask the question. And from that, it's gleaning the level of intelligence and sophistication of the asker, and using that to help provide answers and validate what they're asking and what they're displaying. So if you ask something or upload something, or you do it in a way that hits their algorithm that makes it sound like it's well assembled, well put together, that will be given more points, so to speak, more value than someone who's writing something that doesn't use punctuation, has a bunch of misspelled words, for instance. You know, I probably oversimplified that a lot, but
It is.
yeah, but that's what they were saying, that so it knows what to take and what to sort of discard, basically.
Yeah.
And could I jump in, Lydia? So
Sure.
Lydia and I sat in on a webinar with Mindtrip AI last week, which Lydia can better explain that additional level of sophistication that we could actually bring to visitcarsoncity.com beyond the chat GPT in terms of specific trip.
I can talk about that. I was actually gonna.
Oh, do you
I was
have
gonna
that?
mention. I don't
Okay.
have it in
No,
here, but I
okay.
was gonna mention that. But that is Mindtrip is becoming kind of the leading source of merging AI within the travel industry on websites, and so it is a chat within your website that basically is merging your website and ChatGPT or whatever AI into one. And so I'm actually Visit Carson Valley has it on their website. So does Travel Nevada. And so we've been gathering information for them. It's a pretty lofty investment. It will at minimum be at least $12,000 a year to invest in that. But I am leaning towards that it would be worth that investment, pending doing a little bit more research with them. But it is very cool in the fact that I can talk about, I even tested it. My parents were just in town. I'm like, my parents are 72. I have a 2-year-old daughter. What are some things that all of us can do together in Carson Valley that would really make the trip worthwhile? And so then it will pull together an itinerary that might make sense from that page, but also pulling in the information from AI as well. And it's guiding you around the website so you're not leaving or jumping to 85 different pages, but curating the information from your website into one experience, and then even take you to the booking engine to find you which hotel might work the best. So it is a very sophisticated program that is kind of the best of both worlds in the travel space. And so I'm excited to see more. It sounds like it could be a great fit. We just need to make sure that that fits budgetarily within this next year. And there's nothing that I'm not missing from that just demo, but we're very excited to see that. Any other questions in the AI space? All right, then we'll move over to public relations. We had a really great couple of articles come from Eliza Freeman, who was a Las Vegas-based freelancer that we brought up actually through RTT, but she spent a lot of time in Carson City. And we had her experience Nevada Day. We sent her up in a balloon, and she had a wonderful time and wrote a couple of great articles. One, we were part of the roundup of 5 small towns to make a perfect day trip for Reno, and then also a Las Vegas natives guide to celebrating Nevada Day. We also were mentioned in a very odd article, not travel related, as you can see, that was picked up by Yahoo, but they did mention the Kit Carson Trail. And then we also just had several FAM opportunities that we're working on as well. And then lastly, we obviously are through calendar year 2025. I like to wrap my head around what the calendar year destination overview looks like a lot, just because I think that makes more sense to a lot of people, and we can really see what that looks like all the way from January through December. So I wanted to present that to you, and then also dovetail that into our Datafy campaign that we are halfway through running. And so I have that data to present as well. That will end at the end of this month. But as you know, with Datafy, it takes a few weeks to actually aggregate all that data to find post-market data to input it into. And so I'll give you that halfway mark in review. All right. And so this slide overall answers a big question we often hear. Are people staying in Carson City, or are we just a drive-through destination? This data shows that over 3.5 million visitor days and more than 1.25 million trips, and an average of 2.8 days stay in destination confirms that Carson City functions as a multi-day destination. California remains our powerhouse market at 56%. So overall, we had a really strong 2025. Our length of stay is flat. Our total trips are down just slightly by about 5%, but overall, we are trending quite well into 2026 already. And then our top 5 DMAs as states and cities helps us understand our specific markets and our targeting. So you can notice the strength of Sacramento, Los Angeles, San Francisco DMAs. These are our primary feeder markets. So we will continue to lean in there. And as you can see in the cities, Fallon is always a surprise and delight to me, no matter what. But what we're finding from our feedback is that the base recommends going to visit the Capitol as people in the military. You want to see those things. And so we see incredible visitation from Fallon on an annual basis. And we have done everything from excluding commuters, frequent trips. Like we did everything to try to figure out, like, Fallon must be an anomaly, something's wrong. And we were proven wrong. They are here to come and visit and stay in the Capitol and explore Nevada's capital while they're here. Overall, the headline here is that
So are they, they're obviously not indicating their origin. I mean, if there's indicating Fallon, even though they may be assigned there, it's not their home.
correct.
But this is capturing it as though it is.
It's capturing it because they have to spend a significant amount of time in that place for their device to be recognized as
Right.
their home base. So though it might not be, it's not extremely temporary. So they
Yeah.
are recognized as that is their home base for that period of time.
Yeah.
So it is interesting.
It's kind of, yeah.
We
It's
have
kind of-
looked at every angle, Stacey, of trying to prove this is not accurate, but we have not
No,
found
I
a way.
believe,
So
I
it is
believe it
interesting.
is, because in addition to flight training, they have some intelligence assignments there,
Mhm.
surprisingly. And so I know there are people that come in for 30 to 180 days excuse me, 90 to 180 days at a
Mhm.
pop. And it's just, it is interesting. It would be
Mhm.
interesting to know if their visit from wherever they are in the world or in the US generates other visits
Yeah.
after they bring family back, for instance,
Mhm.
or perhaps return, or I wonder if that's something that we could capture somehow, where we could encourage them to come back or something, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll think about that. Jane Moon, who is the tourism director for Fallon, is a wonderful partner of ours. She sits on the Dave, I'm going to say it. Yes, thank you. Commission of Tourism. She's the rural commissioner. Thank you. That's what I couldn't remember. So I would love to work with her to see if she has any data on that. I might see that. That could help us confirm that. Overall, this is just some straight data that I thought was important that you can dive into, but the highlight here is that shopping and downtown experiences are major anchors for when people are here. So we are performing well as both a day trip and an overnight destination, and our marketing is focusing on and designing to convert day trippers into overnight stays. That's a charge we've had for quite a few years now. And it's clear that downtown and shopping are critical conversion tools when it comes to that. So it's not just amenities, but it's also followed by lodging, attractions, and food and beverage, which reinforces the importance of supporting our downtown core and our retail partners. Our hero visitor is age 45 to 65 plus with a household income of $75,000 or more. And they aren't just passing through. They're here to shop and experience Carson City. And lastly, for the destination overview, just wanted to give you kind of that bell curve of where we're seeing most of our visitation, which is no surprise, of course. And our Datafy marketing campaign that you're going to see next is focusing on high-value lodging visitors in our shoulder season. So this campaign is to help stabilize the fluctuations a little bit by targeting audiences with a higher propensity to stay overnight regardless of the month. And so far, that campaign is working really well, and I will show you how. So to summarize what we did in this campaign, because we had a lot of moving parts in here, it's laser focused on the shoulder season from October until the end of February. So we aren't looking for just clicks. This is not a massive awareness campaign. Like I said, we're hunting for high value visitors, those whose past behavior that we have found shows that they're likely to book a room and stay overnight. And that's why we do this with Datafy, because they're able to get that granular of data, and why we invest in this platform specifically, because one of the greatest things that they provide is the incremental lift. So we can actually see a visitor who was delivered an ad and actually came into the Carson City market and where they went while they were here. So scary, but effective and very helpful. And what I feel is a really wise investment of our dollars. And we're hoping to continue this again. While we're doing our grant writing, they're providing some co-op opportunities with Travel Nevada. So we're looking into continuing this. And then additionally, it's ensuring that we're not just having the clicks, but really meaningful visitation. And we're being aggressive also with geo-conquesting. So that actually serves ads specifically to people who are already visiting Tahoe or Reno, trying to convince them to come down into Carson City and add us to their itinerary. This slide is just providing supporting details behind the strategy. It shows the length of stay, the DMAs, the visitor clusters, where people are visiting when they're here, which is connected to obviously our targeting decisions. So I won't walk through each element, but it's just reinforcing the patterns that we saw in 2025. It's very similar to that data. So to wrap up this campaign, and the question, is our marketing working with Datafy? I would say the answer is yes. Our audiences that were served our ads in this campaign were 9.33 times likely to visit than those who were not served an ad. And that translated to just under 2,500 trips to market that we can identify with their cell phone data. So we can directly attribute them into Carson City, and in lodging properties, we are observing about 650 room nights observed so far. So we can see, we can capture them actually in each lodging property, which is really, I think, kind of mind-blowing, very cool.
Does that ad hit them when they're in the region, or does it, or maybe both, or does it hit them after they've left as a reminder to, hey, perhaps come back?
The geo-conquesting is in the region. The other two, display and video, is hitting them before they come to the region. And so we're doing a little bit of both.
What about after? What about post-visit return? What about?
We do have remarketing built into this campaign as well. And so if they, we will have an audience now of those who came to Carson City. So we will be able to keep this audience of those that we saw in market. And if we continue this campaign.
And hit them
then
3,
hit
4, 5 months down the road.
We
with
can do
a,
that. That is an option.
Love to see you back, or in
Mhm.
case you missed it, come to the
Exactly.
whatever, train museum or.
Yes. Yeah. We can use them as their own remarketing audience.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to target specific ads to them for that.
When you get that data, is that data that you actually have, or you just, it's like a CRM, and you can send them a contact relationship manager where you just send them a mass email with a campaign on there?
That would have to be done through the Datafy platform. So if we did that again, we'd have to do the ad buys through Datafy.
Okay.
They own that information, so they don't give us the list
Okay.
of people.
Thank you.
And then for just traditional metrics that, if you would want to see that, just is just showing that our engagement rates are significantly higher than the industry standards they normally see in benchmarks for campaigns like this. Our display ads are performing 70% better than the benchmark, and video completions rates are really strong at 81%. And just a reminder, we're using the Winter's Charm campaign for this. And then overall, in the bottom right-hand corner, you can actually see the attribution rate for each of the mediums in which we actually did. So we're seeing, and that's of trips. So 0.66% came from display, 0.6 from native, and then 0.33 from video. So that's all I have for you today. Happy to answer any more questions if you have them.
Any questions for a very intelligent young lady who I'm super happy is on the team to help explain all this stuff to me? So I don't look like a tool, quite frankly, when I'm asked questions
Oh, he's
about
being
it.
very
So,
modest.
no, she, seriously, this AI piece, I've managed to muck this up in my own head like 3 or 4 times, and having that mind trip. And so every time something like this comes up, I go to Lydia and ask her, am I understanding this correctly? She's like, sort of, you're close, So as we get more sophisticated, which I think is directionally where we need to go, and, I like that we're data informed, and research driven. This is a whole nother ball of wax, because I used to, I built the CRM for the state, right, from a tourism perspective. Holy moly, is this far more complex and complicated, and this algorithm taking this into consideration, and who said what, and where did it come from? I hope that we can be the source, because I trust our information, right, on our website. Not that I'm not saying I don't trust a hotel's website or whatever the case may be, but it's all the other stuff out there that I'm not so trusting of that information, right, that scares the living heck out of me when people are looking for information on, in this case, Carson City, right, as a destination. So Lydia's going to be leading the charge on
I'll
all
do my
this stuff.
best. It is really scary, like just the number of new companies that are popping up, and everyone's offering some kind of AI component, so they're not far behind. And so just sifting through that noise to find something that's actually effective and affordable is not the easiest task. And so I do think Mind Trip sounded really promising, and the feedback that we've gotten from our partners is that they're pretty impressed. And so we're hoping we can make that work. And I think the improvements that we're working on right now on the website are really going to feed into that. And I think KPS3 has been wildly proactive and also cautiously optimistic about proceeding towards what's the best route without us, trying something that's, maybe astronomically expensive. As cool as it might be, it might not be the fit for us.
Well, there's so much, and it's happening so fast.
And that's the hardest part, is the
It's
quickness of
unbelievable.
it. Yeah.
I'm glad you have as much control over it as you do, because, I'm so
We
confused.
try.
I have a million questions for you, but I got to put them together in my
Yeah.
head before I even start asking. I'll consolidate them at some point.
Thanks.
Just ask ChatGPT to put it.
Right, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good call.
He's joking, but it's such an amazing, helpful tool. But I think that it's a tool and not a replacement. And I think many people in the marketing world will tell you that. Like you said, it's great for an email. It's great to help you organize thoughts. But people know when AI is AI now. And I think there's a way to combine AI and still be authentic. And I think we're trying really hard to keep doing that, because as soon as you get called out for using AI, it's hard to come back from that sometimes.
I can share with you that it in a lot of areas, it's going to improve things dramatically. In the healthcare field, for instance, we are experimenting with it now, where we have 4 or 5 providers around the state that are going into their exam room, getting permission from the patient with their phone. They turn it on, start recording, and it is a component of our electronic health record, and they'll do the entire visit with that phone capturing data from both sides. And it will take that information and it will synthesize it into patient summary and standard
Wow.
medical notes based off of the info. So the medical assistant will take the blood, she'll just utter the blood pressure, 120/80, pulse is 72, and it will put it into the right spot in the medical record. The provider obviously has to go in and, as you said, verify that, because they're saying that that really happened. So there's a real caution there. But we've even challenged it. It will translate from almost every language. And it generates a transcript, and then from the transcript, it generates the notes. And that's the AI component from the full-on transcript to the notes. And the transcript gets saved until the provider releases that transcript, and then it clears it because it's now incorporated in. So we challenged it by having, like, we had one patient who had 2 kids in the room, and we told the kids to talk during the visit, and it synthesizes that out, doesn't transfer any of that info over. We
Wow.
have a couple of people who speak different languages, so we had someone go in and ask in both Italian and it wasn't me, and Netherlands, Dutch, and just come in and say, "Excuse me, doctor, I'm ordering a sandwich. Would you like a soup and sandwich?" Both times, to see if it would synthesize that and pull it into the medical. Nope, it's there. It translates it. It translated it properly in the transcript, but it did not pull any of that data into the.
Wow.
So it's pretty incredible, and it's really time saving for providers who normally have to take all of that info, and instead of putting it in while everyone's been to the doctor and they're entering information while they're talking, they're not even looking at you. They don't even look at you, and here they don't have to do that. Just have their phone in their pocket, and they can actually have a visit where they're talking to you. So it's
Wow.
really some incredible. But the key is, as we've all said, you can't just accept it at face value. You really have to scrutinize what it's spitting out. Anyway, it's pretty fascinating.
Well, thank you all for the lively discussion around that.
So is
thank
KPS3
you,
kind of
really.
at the forefront of all this?
They are. I think that's the beauty of having a partnership like that, and
Yeah.
of them having so many other clients in different industries. They get to test that out first and kind of bring back what works for us. But we've had that conversation a lot, especially with the evolution of visitcarsoncity.com. As we continue to do that, I think the evolution of websites is happening very quickly. And so Dave and I have had many conversations about what is next. Is it an app? Are we moving back to apps now? There's a lot of conversation back and forth about what is going to feed AI the best, because I think that's where people are going to start going to first. And so much conversation around that. I think we need to have a balance of both, but you also never know what's going to happen in the next year and where this might evolve. So we're just, keeping a
Well, I'm
pulse on
just
this
real
as we
happy.
can.
You seem to be ahead of the game. Like, you're trying to stay one step ahead of it. And
try.
I appreciate that.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
do. It's
You
impressive.
almost don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You get far behind very quickly. But I do think KPS3 a
Well,
huge
good
amount
job
for
on
that.
this, because now you're going to have a lot more questions from us. I can guarantee
That's
you that.
okay. I think we need it. I think everyone's brain feeds AI and
I
what they
love it.
want to know, and I think I'm happy to take any input.
Well, thank you for the update.
Thank you guys very much.
I will just tell you, Dustin Wander Trail, the approach we're taking there is we're actually creating what I was calling a digital platform, but in reality, it's an app that has a desktop version to it, and then we'll work on the Google versus the Apple, for the different mobile devices. But we're not creating a website. for Dustin Wonder Trail. Going in a different direction, what we're doing here between the different destinations, it hasn't been done before. So in and of itself, this thing is mind-boggling to me. When I figure it out, I'm like, oh wait, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, because I'm so focused on like a website in my head, right, in terms of how destination or DMO websites work. This is so different. It has an AI piece of the puzzle to this. You can take a quiz when you come into it. It might ask you, I forget, like what kind of shoes you wear, or like to understand your personality, depending on how you're coming in to actually use this app. So we're trying to leverage that information to, in theory, provide you with different types of itineraries, right? Different things that we might surmise based on how you answer these questions, your personality a little bit. Oh, this guy may be more into history, perhaps, than going to a gallery or something along those lines. Or this person enjoys outdoor art, I mean, as an example, right? And so it's fascinating to me. I will be the first to admit I'm probably like 12 steps behind Lydia on this, because I'm still just trying to get my head around leveraging real-time visitor user data for that experience to basically build itself right in front of them as they're coming into the website. That to me is somewhat amazing. The speed, like we've all talked about, which this stuff works. So so anyway, it's cool. And yes, she's like 2 steps ahead, which is good. So we need that, because we're going to need to stay as current as we possibly can, because I don't want to get behind, our competitive set right out there for sure. So yeah, AI might be our future every month, so. All right. Thank you, Lydia. Appreciate it. 9F, future agenda items. Anything the board has at this time? Hearing none. 9G, our next meeting right here, March 9th at 4 p.m. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, David. Next, we'll move on to item 10, CTA board comments and announcements and requests for information. Does anyone have any comments?
I just have a quick comment. I met with Parks and Rec this afternoon, this morning, just to tour Centennial, just to catch you up on what's going on. They're ahead of schedule. Knock on wood. Hopefully they stay that way. We'll see with the storm coming into town if that works out to be anything. I snapped a couple of pictures, but they got one field that's very close to having them start lay sod on turf. Sorry.
I was gonna say.
Sorry, sod. It's field 4, 5, 6, which is the northwest field. They're starting in that back corner, and then they'll rotate around counterclockwise. It's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. They've added a ton of drainage, as you know, which was part of the issue, and the drainage is actually below the field. I can show you some pictures. It's pretty impressive. They got one of the primary detention ponds built over on the golf course side, and it looks good. Aesthetically, it's going to look good. I mean, they've run into a couple issues here and there. They had to move a water line. They had to, some electrical and communication stuff was in a spot nobody knew about that they had to trench through. So, there've been little things like that always come up, but it looks good. And like I said, the one field is, the engineer who designed the drainage is coming out by the end of this week to just verify all the flows and the angles and everything to make sure that it's the way it's supposed to be before they start putting down the padding. The padding is all there, so all the padding is there. The synthetic turf is not, but all the padding stuff is there. The underlayment, the pad. So yeah, it's coming along. I think we can make May. I hope. I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's good. Just give them a call. All of it. I mean, the tennis courts look good. The bathroom, there's a new bathroom down there, which is heated now. It doesn't have to be shut down in the winter. The bathroom is modular, So it was brought in on a lowboy and craned into place on a pad. Same setup that's going to be in Mills Park here. They are glycol heated, so it's a liquid heat through the floor. So the bathrooms won't have to be winterized. We'll be able to keep them functional and open. They have built-in timers on the doors, so we don't have to have the park ranger go out and lock them. It's at dusk. They can be adjusted remotely. It'll be the same thing at Mills Park. So, and they look nice. It looks nice. So, yeah, John D. Winter Centennial it's going to shape up very nice. They got some contingency left. They're going to try and put some real sod, real grass in between the fields to help keep the dust down from spreading, field to field. So, yeah, there'll still be some real grass out there. So I'm excited.
Matt, Garrett, anything? Okay. With that, we'll move on to item 11, public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to item 12. We are adjourned.